Ladies and gentlemen, today we embark on a journey through time to explore one of the most powerful and influential civilizations in history. The story of one of history's greatest empires begins with humble origins. The city of Rome, according to legend, was founded in 753 BCE by Romulus, one of the twin sons of the god Mars and the princess Rhea Silvia. Abandoned as infants and raised by a she-wolf, Romulus and his brother Remus are said to have grown into great warriors. Eventually, a dispute between them over the location of their new city led to Romulus killing Remus, after which he named the settlement after himself, Rome. While this tale is shrouded in myth, it speaks to the deep-rooted cultural identity of the Romans, who saw their origins as both divinely ordained and born from struggle and conquest. In reality, Rome's origins were shaped by various influences, including the Etruscans, who ruled the region before the Romans established their independence. The Etruscans contributed significantly to early Roman society, including their engineering skills, religious practices, and even aspects of their military organization. Rome also absorbed ideas from the Greeks, who had settled in southern Italy, particularly in areas like Naples and Sicily. Greek art, philosophy, and political ideas would later become essential to Roman culture, blending with their own traditions to form a unique and powerful civilization. In its early years, Rome was a small settlement along the banks of the Tiber River, strategically positioned to control trade routes in central Italy. The city's location gave it access to fertile land, fresh water, and defensible hills, which made it an ideal place for a growing civilization. Over time, it expanded from a collection of villages into a structured society ruled by kings. These monarchs, the early Roman kings, laid the foundation for many of Rome's institutions, including religious rites, the Senate, and the legal traditions that would later define the Roman Republic. However, as Rome grew, so did its ambition. The people of Rome, particularly the aristocratic class, grew tired of monarchical rule. In 509 BCE, the last king was overthrown, and the Romans established a new system of government, the Republic. This was a groundbreaking shift, as power was no longer held by a single ruler but rather shared among elected officials. The Republic was based on a complex system of checks and balances, with the Senate, magistrates, and popular assemblies ensuring that no one person could dominate the state. This system would go on to influence future governments, laying the groundwork for democratic principles that are still used today. Despite its early struggles, Rome's foundation was built on adaptability, resilience, and a strong sense of unity. These qualities would allow it to grow from a small city-state into an empire that ruled much of the known world. Even in its earliest days, Rome demonstrated the ambition, military skill, and political innovation that would later make it one of the greatest civilizations in history. The transition from the Roman Republic to the Roman Empire was one of the most dramatic shifts in political history. What began as a government rooted in elected officials and a system of checks and balances eventually evolved into a centralized imperial rule dominated by a single leader. This transformation was not sudden, but rather the result of centuries of expansion, political struggles, and civil conflicts that reshaped the very nature of Roman governance. The Roman Republic, established in 509 BCE after the overthrow of the last Roman king, was built on the idea that no single individual should hold too much power. Instead, authority was divided among different political institutions, including the Senate, the magistrates, and popular assemblies. The most powerful positions were the two consuls, elected annually to lead the government and military. This system was designed to prevent tyranny and promote collective decision-making. However, as Rome expanded, its republican structure became increasingly strained under the pressures of governing vast territories. Rome's conquests brought immense wealth, but they also introduced significant challenges. The influx of slaves, captured during military campaigns, disrupted the labor market, making it difficult for small farmers to compete with large estates owned by the elite. At the same time, ambitious military generals who commanded the loyalty of their troops began to challenge the authority of the Senate. One of the earliest examples of this shift was the rivalry between Gaius Marius and Lucius Cornelius Sulla in the late 2nd and early 1st centuries BCE. Sulla, after marching his army into Rome and seizing power, demonstrated that military force could override the traditional political system. The most significant turning point in Rome's transition from republic to empire, however, came with the rise of Julius Caesar. A brilliant military commander and politician, Caesar expanded Rome's territories through his conquests in Gaul and later turned his attention to Rome itself. In 49 BCE, he famously crossed the Rubicon River with his army, an act of defiance against the Senate that led to a civil war. Emerging victorious, Caesar declared himself dictator for life, effectively ending the republic in all but name. His assassination in 44 BCE was an attempt by senators to restore republican rule, but instead, it plunged Rome into further chaos. The power struggle that followed Caesar's death ultimately led to the rise of his adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus. Following years of conflict, Octavian defeated his rivals, including Mark Antony and Cleopatra, consolidating his power. In 27 BCE, he officially established the Roman Empire, taking on the title of Princeps, first citizen, while maintaining the illusion of republican governance. In reality, Augustus wielded absolute power, controlling the military, government, and economy. His reign marked the beginning of a new era in Roman history, one where the republic's ideals gave way to imperial rule. Though the transition from republic to empire was marked by bloodshed and political turmoil, it also brought about stability. The end of civil wars and the strong leadership of the first emperors ushered in a period known as the Pax Romana, a time of relative peace and prosperity. However, the shift from a republic to an empire had lasting consequences, altering Rome's political landscape forever. The expansion of Rome from a small city-state to a vast empire spanning 3 continents was one of the most remarkable military and political achievements in history. Over the course of several centuries, Rome grew from controlling a small area in central Italy to dominating much of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. This expansion was driven by a combination of military strength, strategic diplomacy, economic ambition, and the desire to spread Roman culture and influence. Early expansion in Italy. Rome's first major conquests were in Italy itself. After the founding of the Republic in 509 BC, Rome spent several centuries consolidating its control over the Italian peninsula. The conquest of neighboring Latin tribes, the Etruscans, and the Samnites laid the foundation for its dominance in Italy. The Roman military, known for its discipline and innovative tactics, played a crucial role in these victories. Unlike other conquering powers, Rome often integrated defeated peoples into its system by granting them partial or full Roman citizenship, ensuring their loyalty. The Punic Wars and Mediterranean dominance. One of the most significant periods of Roman expansion came with the Punic Wars, 264 to 146 BCE, a series of conflicts against Carthage, Rome's powerful rival in North Africa. The First Punic War, 264 to 241 BCE, was fought primarily over control of Sicily and marked Rome's emergence as a naval power. The Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BCE, was even more dramatic, as the Carthaginian general Hannibal famously crossed the Alps with war elephants and won several battles on Italian soil. However, Rome ultimately defeated Carthage, and the final war, 149 to 146 BC, ended with the complete destruction of the city of Carthage, securing Roman dominance over the western Mediterranean. Following the Punic Wars, Rome turned its attention to the eastern Mediterranean, where it defeated the kingdoms of Macedonia, Greece, and Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. The conquest of Greece was particularly significant because it introduced Greek philosophy, art, and literature into Roman culture. Despite viewing the Greeks as militarily weak, the Romans admired their intellectual and artistic achievements, leading to a blending of Greek and Roman traditions. The expansion into Gaul and Britain. One of the most famous Roman conquests was led by Julius Caesar in the 1st century BCE. His campaigns in Gaul, modern France, Belgium, and parts of Germany, from 58 to 50 BCE expanded Roman territory significantly and solidified Caesar's reputation as a brilliant general. His detailed accounts of the war, known as Commentarii de Bello Gallico, provide insight into the brutal warfare and strategic brilliance that defined Rome's military campaigns. Rome also extended its reach into Britain in 43 CE under Emperor Claudius. The conquest of Britain was challenging due to resistance from local tribes, including the famous revolt led by Queen Boudica of the Iceni. However, Rome's superior military organization allowed it to establish control, introducing Roman law, infrastructure, and governance to the island. Expansion into the Middle East and North Africa. Rome's eastern conquests included wars against the powerful Parthian Empire in Persia, though Rome never fully subdued them. However, provinces such as Syria, Judea, and Egypt became critical parts of the empire. Egypt, in particular, was immensely valuable due to its fertile lands and grain supply, making it one of the empire's most important provinces. The annexation of Egypt in 30 BC, following the defeat of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, placed it directly under the control of the emperor. North Africa also saw extensive Roman influence. Cities such as Carthage were rebuilt under Roman rule, and the region became a major supplier of grain, olive oil, and other resources essential to the empire's economy. The legacy of Roman expansion. Through its conquests, Rome established a vast and interconnected empire, bringing diverse cultures under one rule. Roman roads, laws, and governance helped unify these territories, while military forts and colonies maintained order. The empire's expansion brought immense wealth, but also created challenges, including border security, rebellions, and the difficulty of managing such a vast territory. Despite these challenges, Rome's military and political dominance ensured its place as the most powerful empire of its time. The story of its conquests remains a testament to its ambition, resilience, and the strategic brilliance that allowed it to shape the course of world history. The expansion of Rome from a small city-state to a vast empire was a remarkable achievement that shaped the course of world history. Over centuries, Rome transformed from a modest settlement on the banks of the Tiber River into the dominant power of the Mediterranean and beyond. This expansion was not a single event, but a gradual process driven by military conquest, strategic diplomacy, economic ambition, and a strong belief in Rome's destiny to rule. By the height of its power, the empire stretched from the windswept shores of Britain to the deserts of Egypt, from the Atlantic Ocean to the borders of Persia. This incredible growth was achieved through relentless warfare, strategic alliances, and the assimilation of conquered peoples. Early expansion. The conquest of Italy. Rome's earliest expansion was focused on securing dominance over the Italian peninsula. In its early years, Rome was just one of many competing city-states and tribes in Italy. The Etruscans to the north, the Latins in the central regions, the Samnites in the mountains, and Greek colonies in the south all posed challenges to Rome's growth. Through a combination of military strength and political strategy, Rome gradually conquered these rivals. The Latin Wars, 5th to 4th centuries BCE, established Roman supremacy over neighboring Latin-speaking communities. The Samnite Wars, 343 to 290 BCE, were a harder challenge, as the Samnites were fierce warriors who fought Rome in a series of brutal conflicts. Eventually, Rome's disciplined legions overcame them, securing much of central and southern Italy. The conquest of the Greek cities in the south, particularly after Rome's victory over Pyrrhus of Epirus in 275 BCE, brought the entire peninsula under Roman control. Rome's expansion in Italy was not just about military conquest, it was also about integration. Unlike many ancient empires that simply ruled over conquered peoples, Rome had a unique approach. Instead of destroying defeated enemies, it often granted them partial or full Roman citizenship. Conquered cities were allowed to keep their traditions and local governance as long as they remained loyal to Rome. This policy helped Rome maintain stability and ensured that its subjects saw themselves as part of a growing Roman world. Wars with Carthage, dominating the Western Mediterranean. Rome's next major expansion came with its wars against Carthage, a powerful North African city-state that controlled much of the Western Mediterranean. The Three Punic Wars, 264 to 146 BCE, were among the most significant conflicts in Roman history. The First Punic War, 264 to 241 BCE, was fought over control of Sicily, an important strategic location for trade and military influence. Rome, initially a land-based power, was forced to develop a navy to challenge Carthage's dominance at sea. After decades of brutal fighting, Rome emerged victorious, taking control of Sicily and later the islands of Sardinia and Corsica. The Second Punic War, 218 to 201 BCE, was one of the most dramatic military conflicts in history, featuring the legendary Carthaginian General Hannibal. Hannibal launched a daring invasion of Italy, crossing the Alps with his army and war elephants. He won several stunning victories against Rome, including the devastating Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, where tens of thousands of Roman soldiers were killed in a single day. However, despite his brilliance, Hannibal could not secure final victory. Rome, under the leadership of General Scipio Africanus, launched an invasion of Carthage itself, forcing Hannibal to return home. At the Battle of Zama in 202 BCE, Rome crushed Carthage, securing dominance over Spain and much of the western Mediterranean. The Third Punic War, 149 to 146 BC, was the final blow. Rome, fearing a Carthaginian resurgence, besieged the city for 3 years. When Carthage finally fell, Roman forces destroyed the city completely, burning it to the ground and allegedly sowing salt into the soil to prevent future settlement. With Carthage gone, Rome was now the supreme power in the western Mediterranean. Expansion into the eastern Mediterranean. Having secured the west, Rome turned its sights on the rich and ancient civilizations of the east. The Hellenistic world, once ruled by Alexander the Great's successors, had fractured into several kingdoms, including Macedonia, Greece, and the Seleucid Empire in Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. Rome's wars in Greece and Macedonia in the 2nd century BC brought these regions under its influence. The once proud Greek city-states, including Athens and Sparta, were reduced to Roman provinces. Though militarily defeated, Greek culture profoundly influenced Rome. Roman elites adopted Greek philosophy, art, and literature, leading to a fusion of Greco-Roman civilization. The Roman military was the foundation of its empire, enabling its expansion, securing its borders, and maintaining control over vast territories for centuries. More than just an army, the Roman military was a highly disciplined, well-organized, and strategically innovative force that adapted over time to conquer and defend one of the largest empires in history. Its success was not based purely on brute strength, but on a combination of superior tactics, advanced weaponry, rigorous training, logistical efficiency, and an unbreakable sense of duty. The structure of the Roman army. The Roman military was divided into different units, with the most famous being the legion, the core of Rome's military power. A typical legion consisted of about 5,000 to 6,000 soldiers, primarily heavily armed infantry, supported by cavalry and auxiliary troops. The legion was further divided into smaller units. Centuries, 80 to 100 men, led by a centurion, a highly respected and experienced officer. Cohorts, about 500 to 600 men, which combined several centuries. Legions, 10 cohorts, forming the backbone of Roman warfare. This hierarchical system allowed for excellent battlefield coordination, quick adaptation to different enemy tactics, and efficient management of soldiers in both war and peace. Training and discipline. The training of Roman soldiers was brutal and relentless. New recruits, or tirones, underwent months of intense drills before they were considered ready for battle. Training focused on endurance. Soldiers marched up to 20 miles a day carrying full gear. Combat skills. They practiced sword fighting with wooden weapons heavier than real ones to build strength. Formation drills. Roman battle formations, such as the testudo, tortoise formation, allowed them to advance under heavy enemy fire. Discipline was strictly enforced. Punishments for disobedience or cowardice were severe, ranging from flogging to execution. The infamous practice of decimation, where 1 in every 10 men in a disgraced unit was executed, ensured that soldiers remained loyal and fought bravely. This fear of punishment, combined with promises of land and wealth, made Roman legions one of the most formidable fighting forces in history. Tactics and battle formations. The Romans perfected a variety of battle tactics that made their armies nearly unstoppable. The maniple system. Early Roman armies used a flexible battle formation where small groups of soldiers could move independently. This gave them an advantage over enemies who fought in rigid formations, like the Greek phalanx. The testudo, tortoise formation. Soldiers locked their shields together in a protective shell, making them nearly invulnerable to enemy projectiles, especially during sieges. Divide and conquer. Roman commanders often exploited enemy weaknesses, using deception, ambushes, and psychological warfare to weaken opposition before engaging in direct combat. Rome's success in battle was not only due to their soldiers, but also their brilliant generals. Leaders such as Scipio Africanus, Julius Caesar, and Trajan were masters of strategy, using speed, deception, and overwhelming force to outmaneuver their enemies. Weapons and armor. Roman soldiers were heavily armed, using some of the most advanced weaponry of their time. Gladius, a short sword ideal for close combat. Pilum, a specialized throwing spear designed to pierce shields and disable opponents. Scutum, a large curved shield that provided excellent protection in formation combat. Lorica segmentata, a segmented plate armor that balanced protection and mobility. This combination of well-designed weapons and superior armor gave Roman soldiers an edge over most adversaries they faced. The role of Roman engineers in warfare. One of Rome's greatest strengths was its use of engineering in warfare. Roman military engineers were skilled in building roads, bridges, and fortifications, often constructing entire camps overnight while on campaign. Their siege engines, such as ballistae and catapults, allowed them to take heavily fortified cities. The construction of permanent military forts and roads ensured that legions could move quickly across the empire, reinforcing threatened areas with remarkable speed. The role of the navy. While Rome was primarily known for its land-based military, its navy played a crucial role in expansion and defense. During the Punic Wars, Rome built a powerful fleet to challenge Carthage's naval superiority. They developed the corvus, a boarding bridge that allowed Roman soldiers to turn naval battles into land battles, where they excelled. The navy later helped secure trade routes and protect coastal regions from pirates and invasions. The use of auxiliary forces. In addition to its citizen legions, Rome employed auxiliary troops, non-Roman soldiers recruited from conquered territories. These units provided specialized skills, such as archery from the Syrians, cavalry from the Numidians, and fierce warriors from Germanic tribes. While auxiliaries were not granted the same privileges as Roman citizens initially, they could earn citizenship after years of service, making the Roman military an attractive career path for many throughout the empire. The role of the military in Roman society. The Roman army was not just a fighting force, it was also a key part of Rome's political and social structure. Veterans were often granted land and pensions, which helped integrate conquered territories into the empire. Many cities across Europe and the Middle East began as Roman military colonies, ensuring long-term Roman influence in those regions. The army also played a crucial role in maintaining internal stability, suppressing rebellions, and enforcing the emperor's rule. Challenges and evolution of the military. Despite its strength, the Roman military faced significant challenges as the empire grew. The need to defend vast borders stretched resources thin. Increasing reliance on mercenaries and non-Roman recruits weakened discipline. Internal conflicts and civil wars often diverted military attention away from external threats. Over time, Rome's military evolved, adapting to new enemies such as the Parthians, Goths, and Huns. But these challenges ultimately contributed to the empire's decline. The Roman Empire was not just a military powerhouse, it was also a marvel of governance and legal organization. The Romans developed one of the most sophisticated and enduring systems of government and law in history, laying the foundation for many modern legal principles and administrative structures. The stability of Rome's governance, despite ruling over a vast and diverse empire, was key to its longevity and influence. The Roman Republic. Foundations of governance. Before Rome became an empire, It was a republic, a form of government in which power was shared among elected officials and institutions. Established in 509 BCE after the overthrow of the monarchy, the republic was designed to prevent any one person from holding absolute power. Instead, power was divided among different political bodies. The Senate, composed of Rome's aristocratic elite, patricians, the Senate was the most powerful institution, controlling foreign policy, finances, and military decisions. The magistrates, elected officials, including consuls, praetors, and censors, who managed the day-to-day affairs of the republic. The two consuls held the highest authority, overseeing military campaigns and administration. The assemblies, representing the Roman people, these gatherings had the power to vote on laws, elect magistrates, and make key decisions. The republic functioned through a system of checks and balances, ensuring that no single individual could dominate. However, as Rome expanded, this system began to strain under the pressures of governing a growing empire. Corruption, power struggles, and the ambitions of powerful generals eventually led to the fall of the republic and the rise of the imperial system. The rise of imperial rule. In 27 BCE, after years of civil war, Octavian, later known as Augustus, established himself as Rome's first emperor. He maintained the illusion of republican governance, but held absolute power. The Senate still existed, but its influence was greatly reduced. The emperor now controlled the military, commanding all legions, ensuring loyalty to the emperor rather than the state. The economy, managing taxation, trade, and financial policies. The bureaucracy, appointing governors and officials to oversee different provinces. This shift to imperial rule brought stability, ending the political chaos of the late republic. The early emperors, especially Augustus, focused on administrative reforms, ensuring that Rome's vast territories remained under control. The administration of the empire. One of Rome's greatest achievements was its ability to govern an empire that stretched across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. This was achieved through a highly organized administrative system. Provincial governance. The empire was divided into provinces, each ruled by a governor appointed by the emperor or senate. Governors collected taxes, maintained order, and ensured loyalty to Rome. Some provinces were senatorial provinces, controlled by the Senate, while others were imperial provinces, under direct control of the emperor. Roman citizenship. Initially, Roman citizenship was limited to people from Rome and certain allied communities. Over time, citizenship was extended to conquered peoples, offering them rights and privileges in exchange for loyalty. In 212 CE, Emperor Caracalla issued the Constitutio Antoniniana, granting Roman citizenship to all free men within the empire, further unifying its diverse population. Taxation and economic management. A well-organized tax system funded Rome's military, infrastructure, and administrative expenses. Taxes were collected in the form of money, grain, and other goods. Rome also controlled trade routes, ensuring that resources flowed smoothly throughout the empire. The Roman legal system, a legacy for the world. One of the most lasting contributions of Roman governance was its legal system, which has influenced many modern legal traditions. Roman law was based on fairness, precedent, and the idea that laws should be written and consistently applied. The 12 Tables, 450 BCE. The earliest written Roman laws, ensuring that justice was not left to the whims of aristocrats. Covered property rights, contracts, family law, and criminal offenses. The development of civil law. Over time, Roman law evolved into a sophisticated legal system, with categories such as civil law, ius civil, and natural law, ius natural. The principle of innocent until proven guilty was established. Legal professionals and courts. Rome developed a class of jurists who interpreted laws and advised rulers. Courts were set up to handle disputes, ensuring that even non-Romans had access to justice. The Justinian Code, 6th century CE. Under Emperor Justinian, Roman laws were collected and organized into the Corpus Juris Civilis, or the Justinian Code. This legal compilation influenced medieval Europe and modern legal systems. Public works and infrastructure. Governance in action. Roman governance extended beyond politics and law. It was also about improving the daily lives of its citizens. The state invested heavily in public works, ensuring that cities were well-developed and connected. Roads and transportation. Rome built over 250,000 miles of roads, connecting every corner of the empire. These roads facilitated military movements, trade, and communication. Aqueducts and water supply. Massive aqueducts supplied cities with fresh water, supporting a growing population. Roman baths, fountains, and sanitation systems improved public health. Public buildings and entertainment. The government funded the construction of amphitheaters like the Colosseum, temples, forums, and marketplaces. Bread and circuses, free grain, and public entertainment kept the population satisfied and reduced unrest. Challenges and decline of Roman governance. Despite its impressive governance, the Roman system faced significant challenges over time. The Roman Empire was more than just a military and political powerhouse. It was a vibrant and diverse civilization with a rich cultural and social fabric. Roman society was a complex mix of different classes, traditions, and ethnicities, united under a common identity that was shaped by law, language, religion, and entertainment. The influence of Roman culture can still be seen today in everything from architecture and literature to law and government. Social hierarchy. The structure of Roman society. Roman society was highly stratified, with clear distinctions between different social classes. These divisions shaped daily life, political participation, and economic opportunities. Patricians and plebeians. The patricians were the aristocratic elite, descendants of Rome's earliest families. They controlled the Senate, held the highest offices, and owned vast amounts of land. The plebeians were the commoners, farmers, artisans, merchants, and soldiers, who made up the majority of the population. Over time, they fought for and gained political rights, including the ability to hold public office. Equestrians and freedmen. The equestrian class, equites, was a wealthy middle class of merchants, financiers, and businessmen. They played an essential role in Rome's economy and could sometimes achieve political influence. Freedmen were former slaves who had been granted their freedom. While they were not considered full citizens at first, many became successful traders and artisans. Slaves, and the role of labor. Slavery was an integral part of Roman society. Slaves worked in households, farms, mines, and even as educators and accountants. Some slaves, especially those trained in skilled professions, could buy their freedom and become respected members of society. Family life and gender roles. Family was at the core of Roman society, with a strong emphasis on duty, honor, and respect for tradition. The paterfamilias, or male head of the household, held significant authority over the family. Men's role. Roman men were expected to be strong, disciplined, and loyal to Rome. They had political rights and were responsible for providing for their families. Women's role. Women in Rome had limited rights but played an important role in family and society. While they could not vote or hold public office, some wealthy women, especially during the empire, gained influence through their families. Many women managed businesses, owned property, and played a role in religious life. Marriage and education. Marriages were often arranged for political and economic reasons. Education was valued, especially for boys from wealthy families who studied literature, philosophy, and rhetoric. Girls were educated at home, focusing on household management, reading, and writing. Religion, the spiritual foundation of Rome. Religion was deeply embedded in Roman culture and played a crucial role in both personal and public life. The Romans were highly religious and believed in maintaining good relationships with the gods to ensure prosperity and success. Polytheistic beliefs. Romans worshipped a pantheon of gods, including Jupiter, king of the gods, Mars, god of war, Venus, goddess of love, and Neptune, god of the sea. Each household had Laras and Penates, household gods that were believed to protect the family. State religion and priesthoods. The government played a direct role in religious practices. Emperors were often deified after death, and religious festivals were held in their honor. Priestly colleges, such as the pontifices and augurs, oversaw religious rituals and interpreted omens. foreign religions, and the spread of Christianity. As the empire expanded, Romans absorbed and incorporated gods from conquered peoples, such as the Egyptian goddess Isis and the Persian god Mithras. Over time, Christianity emerged as a major force. Persecuted at first, it eventually became the official religion of the empire under Emperor Constantine in the 4th century CE. Language and literature. The voice of Roman culture. Latin was the official language of the Roman Empire and became the foundation of many modern languages, including Italian, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. Roman literature flourished, producing some of history's most enduring works. Famous writers and philosophers. Virgil wrote the Aeneid, Rome's national epic that glorified its origins. Cicero, a philosopher and politician known for his speeches and writings on law and politics. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher who wrote about ethics and self-discipline. Roman education and rhetoric. Education focused on rhetoric, philosophy, and history, preparing young men for public service. Greek literature and ideas heavily influenced Roman intellectual life. Art and architecture. The legacy of Roman creativity. Roman art and architecture combined practicality with grandeur, leaving behind iconic structures that still inspire modern design. Architecture and engineering marvels. The Colosseum, a massive amphitheater used for gladiator battles and public spectacles. The Pantheon, a temple dedicated to the gods, featuring a massive domed roof. Aqueducts, advanced water transport systems that supplied cities with fresh water. Sculpture and mosaics. Roman sculptures depicted emperors, gods, and everyday people with incredible realism. Mosaics adorned floors and walls, depicting myths, historical events, and daily life. Entertainment and leisure. The Roman way of life. Romans loved entertainment, and public spectacles were an essential part of society. Gladiator games. Held in arenas like the Colosseum, gladiator battles were a major form of entertainment. Fighters, often slaves or prisoners, competed for fame and freedom. Chariot races. The Circus Maximus in Rome could hold over 150,000 spectators for thrilling chariot races. Theaters and public baths. Roman theaters showcased plays, comedies, and poetry readings. Public baths served as social hubs, offering pools, exercise areas, and relaxation spaces. Cultural diversity in the empire. Rome's vast empire brought together a wide range of cultures, creating a cosmopolitan society. Greek, Egyptian, Persian, and Celtic influences blended with Roman traditions. Conquered peoples were often granted Roman citizenship, spreading Roman culture far beyond Italy. Multiculturalism helped Rome thrive but also created tensions, especially as non-Roman customs and religions gained prominence. The Roman Empire was one of the most economically advanced civilizations of the ancient world. The Roman Empire, its vast economy was driven by agriculture, civilizations of the industry, and an efficient taxation system. Its vast economy was driven by agriculture, a large military industry, and massive public taxation system, and sustain a population that, at its large military, exceeded 50 million public works. Rome's economic strength was a crucial factor in its ability to dominate the Mediterranean world. Rome's economic strength was a crucial factor in its ability to dominate the Mediterranean world for centuries. Agriculture was the backbone of the Roman economy. The foundation of the Roman economy. People and agriculture was the backbone of the Roman economy. The majority of Romans, especially those in rural areas, and surplus were engaged in farming. The majority of Romans, especially those in rural areas, were engaged in farming. Wealthy elites acquired large-scale farming known as latifundia. As Rome expanded, primarily wealthy elites acquired vast These estates produced known as latifundia, olives, and worked wine, primarily by which slaves. Were essential commodities. These estates in produced trade. Grain, small olives, and independent wine, farmers struggled which were essential to commodities with large estates in Roman trade, leading to economic and social tensions. Independent farmers struggled to compete with large estates, leading to economic and social feeding Rome's growing population. Agricultural much of it was imported from Egypt and essential for feeding Rome's growing population. Used for much cooking, of it was imported from Egypt and religious ceremonies. Olives and olive oil major export used for cooking, particularly to regions and religious ceremonies. Role of the
Wine,
annona,
a major
grain
export,
distribution system,
particularly to regions
the state
in Gaul
provided
and
free
Britain.
or subsidized
Role of
grain
the
to the
annona,
urban poor
grain
through the
distribution
annona
system,
ensuring food
the state
stability.
provided free
This
or
system helped
subsidized
prevent
grain to
riots
the urban
and
poor
maintained
through the
public
annona,
order in Rome
ensuring
and
food
other
stability.
large cities.
This system
Trade
helped
and
prevent
commerce
riots and maintained
connecting
public
the
order
empire,
in Rome and
Rome's
other large
extensive
cities.
trade network
Trade
stretched
and
from
commerce,
Britain to India,
connecting the
making
empire.
it one of the first
Rome's
truly
extensive
global
trade
economies.
network stretched
The
from
movement
Britain
of
to
goods,
India,
ideas,
making it one of
and
the
people
first
across
truly
vast
global
distances
economies.
was facilitated
The movement
by
of
an
goods,
advanced transportation
ideas,
and
people
communication
across
system.
vast distances
Major trade
was
routes
facilitated by
the
an advanced
Mediterranean
transportation
Sea, known
and
as Mare
communication
Nostrum,
system.
RC.
Major trade routes.
It served as the empire's
Mediterranean
primary
Sea,
trade
known
highway.
as Mare Nostrum,
The Silk Road
RC,
connected
it
Rome
served
with
as
China,
the empire's
bringing luxury
primary
goods
trade
like
highway.
silk, spices,
The Silk Road
and gems
connected Rome
the
with
Amber
China,
Road,
bringing
linked
luxury
Rome
goods
to the
like
Baltic
silk,
region,
spices,
providing
and
valuable
gems.
amber.
The
Key
Amber
trade
Road
goods
linked Rome
imports,
to the Baltic region,
silk from China,
providing valuable
spices
amber.
from India,
Key trade
ivory
goods,
from Africa, and
imports,
glass from Egypt.
silk from China,
Exports,
spices from
wine,
India,
olive
ivory
oil
from Africa,
pottery,
and
glass
metalwork
from
to
Egypt.
provinces and
Exports,
beyond.
wine,
Roman currency
olive oil,
and banking,
pottery,
the
and
denarius
metalwork to
a
provinces
silver coin
and beyond
became the standard
Roman currency and banking,
facilitating trade
the
across
denarius,
the empire.
a silver coin,
Banking
became the
institutions
standard
provided
currency,
loans and credit,
facilitating trade
supporting
across the
merchants
empire.
and large-scale
Banking
trade.
institutions
Industry
provided loans
and
and
manufacturing,
credit,
supporting
Roman
merchants
ingenuity
and
at
large-scale
work.
trade.
Rome's economy was not
Industry
just
and
based on
manufacturing.
agriculture and trade.
Roman ingenuity
It had a
at work.
thriving industrial
Rome's economy
sector.
was not just
large-scale
based on
production
agriculture
allowed
and
for
trade.
economic
It had a
expansion
thriving
and
industrial
technological
sector.
advancements.
Large-scale
Mining
production
and
allowed
metalwork.
for economic
The Romans
expansion
extracted
and
gold,
technological
silver,
advancements.
iron, and
mining
copper
and
from
metalwork
mines in Spain,
The Romans
Britain,
extracted
and
gold,
Dacia.
silver,
These metals were used
iron,
for weapons,
and copper
tools,
from mines in
coins,
Spain,
and
Britain,
luxury goods.
and Dacia.
Textile
These metals
and
were used
pottery
for weapons,
production.
tools,
Roman
coins,
textiles
and luxury
particularly
goods.
wool and
Textile
linen,
and
were
pottery
produced in
production.
workshops across
Roman
the empire.
textiles,
Pottery,
particularly
such
wool
as
and
terra
linen,
sigillata,
were produced
was
in workshops
mass-produced
across
and
the empire.
widely traded.
Pottery,
Construction
such as terra
industry,
sigillata,
the demand
was
for stone
mass-produced and
bricks
widely
and
traded.
concrete-fueled
Construction
large-scale
industry,
construction projects,
the demand
including
for
roads,
stone,
aqueducts,
bricks, and temples.
concrete-fueled
Urban
large-scale
economy,
construction
the
projects,
role of cities
including
in
roads,
commerce.
aqueducts,
Rome
and
cities
temples.
were bustling
Urban
economic
economy,
hubs where merchants,
the role of cities
artisans,
in commerce.
and traders played
Rome
a
cities
crucial
were
role in
bustling
daily
economic
life.
hubs where
Markets
merchants
and forums,
artisans, and
every
traders
Roman
played
city
a
had a
crucial
forum,
role
a
in
central
daily
marketplace
life.
where goods were
Markets
bought
and
and
forums.
sold.
Every Roman city had a
sold
forum,
meat,
a central
fish,
marketplace where
produce,
goods were
and
bought
luxury
and
goods.
sold.
Guilds
Specialized
and
markets,
sold
professional
meat,
associations,
fish,
produce
workers
and
in different
luxury
trades,
goods, such as
guilds
bakers
and
professional
blacksmiths and
associations,
merchants,
formed
workers in
collegia
different
guilds,
trades,
such as
these
bakers,
guilds regulated prices,
blacksmiths,
quality,
and merchants,
and labor
formed
conditions.
collegia guilds.
Employment opportunities.
These guilds regulated
Jobs ranged
prices,
from
quality,
craftsmen
and labor
merchants
conditions
to teachers and
employment
government
opportunities.
officials.
Jobs
Many poor
ranged from
Romans found
craftsmen
work as
and
laborers,
merchants,
construction
teachers
workers,
and government
or servants.
officials.
Many
Taxation
poor
and
Romans
state
found
revenue,
work as laborers,
funding the
construction
empire.
workers,
The
or
Roman
servants.
government required
Taxation
vast amounts
and
of
state
revenue
revenue,
to maintain the military,
funding the empire,
infrastructure,
the Roman
and
government
public
required
services.
vast amounts of
This
revenue
money
to maintain
came
the
from a
military,
well-organized taxation
infrastructure,
system,
and public
types of
services.
taxes.
This
Money
money
came from a
paid by
well-organized
farmers and
taxation
landowners,
system,
based
based
on the
on
size of their land.
Land tax,
Trade and customs
paid by
duties,
farmers and landowners.
A percentage was
based on the
charged on
size of
goods
their
entering
land.
or leaving the
Trade
empire.
and customs duties,
Inheritance and
a
wealth
percentage
taxes
was charged
levied
on
the
the
entering
estates of
or
the
leaving the
wealthy.
empire.
Tax collection
Inheritance
and
and
wealth
corruption.
taxes.
Taxes
levied
were
on the
often
estates
collected
of
by
the wealthy.
publicani,
Private
tax
tax
collection
collectors
and corruption.
who sometimes
Taxes were
overcharged
often
citizens
collected
for
by
personal
publicani.
profit.
Private
High
tax
tax
collectors
collectors
in later periods
who sometimes
contributed to economic
overcharged
decline
citizens for personal
and
profit.
unrest.
High
Economic
taxation in
challenges
later periods
and the
contributed
decline
to
of
economic
Rome's
decline
decline and
despite
unrest.
its strength.
The
Economic
Roman economy
challenges
faced
and the
significant
decline of
challenges
Rome's
over
economy.
time.
Despite
Over
its
reliance
strength
on
the
slave
Roman
labor.
economy faced
The Roman economy
significant
depended
challenges
heavily
over
on
time.
slaves for
Over
agricultural
reliance
and
on
industrial
slave labor.
production.
The Roman
As Rome
economy
expanded,
depended heavily on
new slaves
for
were
agricultural and
but as
industrial
conquests
production.
slowed,
As Rome
so did the
expanded,
supply,
new
leading
slaves
to
were
labor
plentiful.
shortages.
But as
Inflation
inflation
slowed,
and currency
so did the
devaluation,
supply.
in later
Leading to labor
centuries,
shortages.
emperors debased the
Inflation
currency
and
by
currency
reducing the silver
devaluation.
content
In later
coins,
centuries,
leading to inflation.
emperors debased the currency
Rising prices
by reducing
made
the
goods
silver
unaffordable
content
for
in
many
coins,
citizens,
leading to inflation
economic burden. Rising
of the
prices
military,
made goods
maintaining a
unaffordable for
large
many
standing
citizens.
army drained
economic
state
burden
resources
of the military.
Heavy taxation
Maintaining
was
a
needed to
large
fund
military
army
campaigns,
drained state
placing
resources.
a financial strain on
Heavy
the provinces.
taxation was needed
Decline
to fund
of
military
trade and urban
campaigns,
centers,
placing a
as the
financial
empire
strain on the
weakened,
provinces.
Trade routes
Decline
became
of
less secure,
trade and urban centers,
reducing commercial
as
activity.
the empire weakened,
Many cities
trade
declined
routes
as
became
economic
less secure,
activity shifted
reducing
to rural
commercial
areas.
activity.
These
Many
economic
cities
difficulties
declined as
combined
economic
with
activity
political
shifted to
instability
rural
and
areas.
external threats.
These
Contributed to the eventual decline of the
combined with
Roman
political instability and external threats, contributed to the eventual decline of the Roman Empire.
The military was the foundation upon which the Roman Empire was built. From a small city-state's militia to one of the most formidable fighting forces in history, the Roman army played a crucial role in both expanding and defending the empire. The discipline, organization, and advanced tactics of Roman soldiers allowed them to conquer vast territories and maintain control over a diverse population for centuries. However, as much as the Roman military was a source of strength, it also became one of the empire's greatest burdens, contributing to its eventual decline. The structure of the Roman military. The Roman military was not a single, monolithic force, but a highly organized institution with different units and ranks that functioned efficiently across the vast empire. The legion, Rome's most powerful unit. The backbone of the Roman army was the legion, a unit of about 5,000 to 6,000 soldiers. Each legion was divided into centuries, groups of around 80 to 100 men led by a centurion. Unlike the loosely organized armies of Rome's enemies, legions operated with strict discipline and coordination, making them highly effective in battle. Auxiliary forces, non-Roman soldiers in the empire. While legions were composed mostly of Roman citizens, the empire also relied on auxiliaries, soldiers recruited from non-citizen populations. These forces provided cavalry, archers, and specialized fighters from different regions, such as Syrian archers, Numidian cavalry, and Germanic warriors. After 25 years of service, auxiliaries were often granted Roman citizenship, making military service an attractive option for many. The Praetorian Guard, elite soldiers of the emperor. The Praetorian Guard was an elite unit that served as the emperor's personal bodyguard. While originally meant for protection, they gained political influence, often deciding the fate of emperors through assassinations or endorsements. The Navy, controlling the seas. Rome's navy was essential for protecting trade routes, transporting troops, and defending coastal regions. It played a crucial role in battles against Carthage during the Punic Wars, securing Rome's dominance over the Mediterranean. Military training and discipline, the key to Roman success. Roman soldiers were among the most well-trained and disciplined warriors of the ancient world. Their rigorous training prepared them for both battle and the hardships of military life. Intense physical training. Soldiers marched long distances daily, often carrying up to 90 pounds of gear. Training included combat drills, weapons practice, and formation exercises. Strict discipline and harsh punishments. Discipline was enforced through a strict code of conduct. Punishments for disobedience included flogging, demotion, or even execution. In cases of extreme failure, entire units could be subjected to decimation, where 1 in every 10 soldiers was executed as a warning. Superior weapons and armor. The standard Roman soldier carried a gladius, short sword, pilum, javelin, and a scutum, large shield. Soldiers wore segmented armor, larica segmentata, for protection and mobility. Military tactics and strategies. How Rome conquered the world. Rome's success in battle was not just due to superior weapons but also advanced tactics and strategic planning. Battle formations and strategies. The testudo, tortoise formation, allowed soldiers to advance under a shield wall, protecting them from arrows and projectiles. The maniple system, used during the Republic, allowed for flexibility in battle, with smaller units able to maneuver independently. The double envelopment, famously used at the Battle of Cannae, allowed Rome to encircle and defeat larger enemy forces. Fortifications and engineering in warfare. Roman armies built forts, walls, and roads to secure conquered territories and improve logistics. They used siege weapons like catapults, battering rams, and ballistae to conquer fortified cities. Major campaigns and conquests. The Roman military was responsible for expanding the empire across 3 continents, winning major battles against powerful enemies. The Punic Wars, 264 to 146 BCE, defeating Carthage. Rome's wars against Carthage, its greatest rival, secured control over the western Mediterranean. The defeat of Hannibal at the Battle of Zama, 202 BCE, marked Rome as the dominant power in the region. The conquest of Gaul, 58 to 50 BCE, Julius Caesar's triumph. Julius Caesar's campaigns in Gaul, modern France, expanded Rome's borders and made him one of its most famous leaders. His victory over the Gauls at Alesia, 52 BCE, showcased Roman engineering and tactical brilliance. The Roman invasion of Britain, 43 CE. Emperor Claudius launched an invasion of Britain, incorporating it into the empire. The famous Hadrian's Wall was later built to protect the northern frontier. Wars with Parthia and Persia. Rome fought long wars against the Parthian Empire and later the Sasanian Empire, struggling to control the eastern frontier. The capture of Emperor Valerian, 260 CE, by the Persians was a major blow to Roman prestige. Military as a political force. The military was not just an instrument of war, but also a major player in Roman politics. Generals and political power. Successful generals like Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Augustus used their military achievements to gain political influence. Many emperors rose to power through military support, often leading to civil wars. Civil wars and military coups. Rome experienced numerous civil wars, often driven by rival generals seeking control. The empire's later years saw frequent military revolts, with legions proclaiming their own emperors. Defending the empire, the challenges of a vast territory. As Rome expanded, defending its borders became increasingly difficult. The limes, Rome's defensive borders. The limes, fortified borders, included walls, watchtowers, and forts, such as Hadrian's Wall in Britain and the Danube fortifications. Barbarian invasions. Rome faced constant threats from Germanic tribes, Huns, and Persians. The defeat at the Battle of Adrianople, 378 CE, where the Visigoths crushed a Roman army, signaled the beginning of Rome's decline. The weakening of the Roman military. By the later empire, Rome relied more on mercenaries and federates, barbarian allies, weakening the discipline and effectiveness of the army. Economic struggles led to fewer resources for the military, making it harder to defend against invasions. The Roman Empire's political system was one of the most complex and influential governance structures in world history. It evolved over centuries, from a small city-state's monarchy to a vast imperial administration that controlled millions of people across 3 continents. The Roman political system was built on law, bureaucracy, and military strength, enabling the empire to function efficiently for centuries. However, the very institutions that made Rome powerful also contributed to its eventual decline, as corruption, political instability, and internal power struggles weakened its foundations. The evolution of Rome's political system. Rome's political structure changed dramatically over time, adapting to the challenges of ruling an expanding empire. These changes were marked by 3 key phases. 1. The monarchy, 753 to 509 BC, the early kings of Rome. Rome was originally ruled by kings, beginning with Romulus, its legendary founder. The monarchy was not hereditary. Kings were selected by the Senate and held religious, military, and judicial authority. The last king, Tarquin the Proud, was overthrown in 509 BC due to his tyranny, leading to the establishment of the Roman Republic. 2. The Roman Republic, 509 to 27 BC, the birth of republican government. The Republic replaced the monarchy with a system where power was shared among different branches of government. Key institutions included the Senate, a council of aristocrats who advised on policy and controlled finances. The consuls, 2 elected officials who served as military and political leaders. The assemblies, bodies where citizens voted on laws and elected officials. The Republic expanded through military conquest, but political struggles between the patricians, elite class, and plebeians, commoners, led to internal conflict. Civil wars between powerful generals like Julius Caesar, Pompey, and Crassus eventually led to the Republic's fall. 3. The Roman Empire, 27 BCE, for 76 CE in the West, 1453 CE in the East, ruled by emperors. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, established the Principate, a system where the emperor held supreme power while maintaining the illusion of republican governance. The Senate continued to exist but had little real power. Emperors controlled the military, economy, and administration. Over time, emperors became more autocratic, with some ruling as absolute monarchs. The empire eventually split into the Western Roman Empire and the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, each with its own administration. Key institutions of Roman governance. The success of Rome's political system lay in its institutions, which allowed for efficient governance across vast territories. 1. The emperor, supreme authority. The emperor was the head of state and held imperium, absolute power, over military, judicial, and religious matters. Emperors were often seen as semi-divine figures, and later, many were officially deified after their death. Some emperors, like Augustus and Trajan, strengthened the empire, while others, like Caligula and Nero, weakened it through misrule. 2. The Senate, a legacy of the Republic. Originally the most powerful institution in Rome, the Senate lost much of its authority under the empire. It advised the emperor but had little decision-making power. Senators came from noble families and were responsible for diplomatic and administrative duties. 3. The bureaucracy, managing a vast empire. As Rome expanded, a complex bureaucracy was needed to govern provinces, collect taxes, and oversee public works. Key officials included governors, legates, and procurators managed provinces on behalf of the emperor. Praetorian prefects commanded the Praetorian Guard and acted as advisors to the emperor. Curators and magistrates managed cities, roads, and infrastructure. Law and justice, the foundation of Roman order. Rome's legal system was one of its most lasting contributions to the world. Roman law influenced modern legal traditions and is still the foundation of many legal systems today. 1. The 12 Tables, the first written Roman laws, 451 BCE. The 12 Tables were Rome's first written legal code, ensuring that laws applied equally to all citizens. They covered civil, criminal, and property law, providing a foundation for later legal developments. 2. The expansion of Roman law. Over time, Roman law evolved to include jus gentium, law of nations, which applied to both Romans and non-Romans. Under Emperor Justinian, 6th century CE, Roman law was codified in the Corpus Juris Civilis, Justinian Code, which influenced European legal traditions for centuries. 3. Courts and legal officials. Rome had a sophisticated court system with judges, praetors, and legal professionals. Trials could be public, and legal arguments were presented before juries. Punishments ranged from fines to exile and execution, depending on the crime. Provincial governance, controlling a multinational empire. As Rome expanded, it ruled over a diverse population, including Greeks, Egyptians, Gauls, and Persians. Effective provincial governance was essential for maintaining order. 1. Provinces and governors. The empire was divided into provinces, each ruled by a governor appointed by the emperor. Governors were responsible for tax collection, law enforcement, and military defense. Some provinces were directly controlled by the emperor, imperial provinces, while others were managed by the Senate, senatorial provinces. 2. Citizenship and integration. Initially, only Romans had full citizenship, but over time, Rome granted citizenship to people in the provinces. In 212 CE, Emperor Caracalla issued the Edict of Caracalla, granting citizenship to all free men in the empire. This policy helped unify the empire but also increase tax burdens. 3. Local autonomy and cultural adaptation. Rome allowed a degree of local self-rule, respecting native customs and religions as long as they did not threaten Roman authority. Cities often had their own municipal councils, and local elites were encouraged to participate in Roman governance. Challenges and corruption in Roman politics. Despite its strengths, Rome's political system faced significant challenges that ultimately contributed to its decline. 1. Corruption and political instability. Bribery, nepotism, and corruption were rampant in the Senate and among provincial governors. Officials often exploited tax collection, enriching themselves while burdening ordinary citizens. 2. The crisis of the 3rd century, 235 to 284 CE. Rome suffered from constant civil wars, as emperors were frequently overthrown by rival generals. The empire nearly collapsed due to economic problems, military defeats, and internal instability. Diocletian's reforms, late 3rd century, helped stabilize the empire by dividing it into east and west. 3. The decline of republican traditions. Although Rome's government had republican roots, power became increasingly centralized in the hands of emperors. Many emperors ruled as dictators, suppressing opposition and using the military to maintain control. The Senate became weak and irrelevant, losing its influence over decision-making. The role of Rome's political system in its decline. The political system that had once made Rome strong became a source of weakness as power struggles, corruption, and bureaucracy undermined effective governance. The empire's inability to handle economic crises, military threats, and social unrest contributed to its eventual fall in the West in 476 CE. The Roman Empire was not only known for its military strength and political system, but also for its vast contributions to culture, engineering, and technology. These advancements shaped the ancient world and left a lasting impact on modern civilization. From architecture to literature, from roads to aqueducts, Rome's innovations allowed it to flourish for centuries and influence societies long after the empire's fall. Architecture and engineering. Building an empire. Roman engineering was one of the most remarkable aspects of its civilization. The empire's architects and builders designed structures that were not only functional but also magnificent in scale and design. 1. Roads and transportation. The backbone of the empire. The Romans built an extensive network of roads to connect their vast territories. The phrase, "all roads lead to Rome," reflects the empire's impressive road system, which helped with military movement, trade, and communication. Roads were made using layers of stone, gravel, and sand, ensuring durability. Some of these roads are still in use today. 2. Aqueducts, supplying water to millions. Rome's aqueducts were engineering marvels that transported water from distant sources into cities and towns. Using a system of arches and underground pipes, aqueducts provided clean water for drinking, public baths, fountains, and sanitation. The Pont du Gard in France and the Aqua Appia in Rome are famous examples of aqueducts that still stand today. 3. Bridges and harbors, expanding trade and military reach. Romans built sturdy stone and concrete bridges that allowed armies and merchants to cross rivers efficiently. Major harbors like Ostia served as crucial trade centers, connecting Rome to markets across the Mediterranean. 4. The use of concrete, revolutionizing construction. Roman engineers perfected concrete, allowing them to build larger and stronger structures than ever before. Unlike earlier civilizations that relied on stone, the Romans used concrete to create massive buildings like the Pantheon and Colosseum. This innovation enabled the construction of domes and vaults, making Roman architecture unique and durable. Monumental structures, symbols of Roman power. Romans were master builders, creating landmarks that still inspire awe today. 1. The Colosseum, the Grand Amphitheater. Built in 80 CE, the Colosseum was the largest amphitheater in the ancient world, capable of seating 50,000 spectators. It hosted gladiator battles, animal hunts, and public spectacles, entertaining the Roman population. The structure's complex system of tunnels and lifts allowed for dramatic entrances of fighters and animals. 2. The Pantheon, a temple to the gods. The Pantheon, built in 126 CE, is one of the best preserved Roman buildings. It features a massive dome with an oculus, circular opening, at the top, allowing natural light inside. Originally a temple to Roman gods, it later became a Christian church, preserving it through the ages. 3. Roman baths, centers of social life. Public bathhouses, thermae, were a staple of Roman cities, serving as places for relaxation, exercise, and socialization. Some of the largest bathhouses, like the Baths of Caracalla, could accommodate thousands of people at once. These baths had hot and cold pools, saunas, and steam rooms, showing Rome's advanced heating and plumbing systems. Art and literature, the cultural heart of Rome. Roman culture was deeply influenced by Greek traditions, but it also developed its own unique artistic and literary identity. 1. Sculpture and painting, capturing realism. Roman sculptures were known for their realism, verism, depicting emperors and citizens with lifelike details, including wrinkles and scars. They created mosaics and frescoes that decorated homes, temples, and public buildings, depicting mythological scenes, daily life, and landscapes. 2. Literature, a legacy of great writers. Roman literature produced some of the greatest works in history, many of which are still studied today. Key Roman writers include Virgil, author of the Aeneid, an epic poem about Rome's legendary origins. Ovid wrote Metamorphoses, a collection of mythological tales. Horace, famous for his poetry on philosophy and life. Cicero, a master of rhetoric and philosophy, whose speeches and writings influenced European thought. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher whose works on ethics and virtue are still read today. Science, medicine, and education. Romans valued practical knowledge, applying science and medicine to improve daily life. 1. Roman medicine, healing the empire. Roman doctors like Galen advanced medical knowledge, studying anatomy and developing surgical techniques. Military hospitals were established to care for wounded soldiers. Romans emphasized hygiene, with public baths, sewage systems, and clean water supplies reducing disease. 2. Education and libraries. Wealthy Roman children were educated in reading, writing, mathematics, and rhetoric. The empire built libraries to preserve knowledge, with some cities having vast collections of scrolls and books. Religion and mythology, from paganism to Christianity. Roman religion evolved over time, starting with polytheism and later transitioning to Christianity, which became the dominant faith of the empire. 1. The pantheon of gods. The Romans worshipped many gods, including Jupiter, king of gods, Mars, god of war, Venus, goddess of love, and Neptune, god of the sea. They built temples and held festivals to honor these deities. 2. The rise of Christianity. Christianity, initially persecuted, spread throughout the empire. Emperor Constantine the Great legalized Christianity in 313 CE with the Edict of Milan. In 380 CE, Emperor Theodosius I made Christianity the official religion of the empire. Entertainment and leisure, the Roman love for spectacle. Romans enjoyed grand entertainment, from gladiator fights to chariot races. 1. Gladiatorial games, life and death spectacles. Held in the Colosseum, gladiator battles entertained huge crowds. Gladiators were often prisoners, slaves, or volunteers, fighting for fame and survival. 2. Chariot racing, the sport of the masses. The Circus Maximus was the largest stadium in Rome, hosting thrilling chariot races. Teams represented different factions, red, blue, green, and white, and fans were as passionate as modern sports fans. 3. Theater and festivals. Romans loved comedies, tragedies, and pantomimes, performed in large theaters. Annual festivals and public holidays provided citizens with entertainment and religious celebrations. The lasting influence of Rome. Even after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 CE, Rome's cultural and technological achievements continued to shape the world. Roman law influenced modern legal systems. Roman architecture inspired Renaissance and modern buildings. The Latin language evolved into Spanish, French, Italian, and other Romance languages. Roman engineering principles are still used in bridges, roads, and urban planning. The legacy of Rome's cultural and technological achievements is still felt today, proving that while the empire may have fallen, its influence remains strong.